I wanted more free time for myself as a medical student, and I created it. I was able to basically have the whole weekend off from studying. There was obviously a little bit of work, but for the most part, I got basically all of Saturday, almost all of Sunday off. And I'm gonna share with you guys how I utilize little tricks to create more free time so I could actually enjoy myself through the whole process of medical school. So just a little backstory. Through the first year of medical school, I worked my ass off, okay? I got up at 6 a.m. I was studying all day, 10 p.m. sometimes doing Anki cards. I would do this all week, Monday through Sunday. I was trying to get through material. Even by that next Monday, I still was behind. I was hating life because I felt like I wasn't smart. I wasn't able to figure out the hacks to enjoy my normal life, right? And I realized that this cannot be maintained. I need to enjoy myself. At that time, I was a straight A student. I was doing very well in medical school, but the friends around me who were also A students seemed to be enjoying themselves way more. They were going out scuba diving on the weekends. They were able to go to the beach, do super fun things that I was not able to do. I asked them, what is the trick? Okay. So the trick is you have to treat your studying in the middle of the week, Monday through Friday, as a job. You have to treat it as a job, which means that when you get to campus, okay, it's all business. You're gonna be studying nonstop, uninterrupted studying, okay? But there's a lot of nuances that I found that were great little hacks to compress my studying so that I had more time when I get off in the evening. And then obviously have free time on the weekend. So the first thing is the night before every lecture, I would go through all the slides. So I could see what topics I was strong at, that I had a pretty good picture of what they were gonna talk about during the lecture, and that I'd also mentally note some of the topics that were in the lecture slides that I didn't know that well, and I needed to pay attention in the actual lecture. Then on the day of the lecture, I would do the same thing. First thing in the morning, I would, review the same content, look at it again, make sure that the topics that I felt strong on, I was good with, and the stuff that I needed to pay attention during the lecture, I made mental notes. I'm like, okay, I do need to pay attention to this point. So during the lecture, I was utilizing those 2 hours for other things, okay? Because I kind of had a good idea of what the lecture was gonna be about, I would listen to what the lecturer was saying and semi pay attention, but I was also on my computer doing Anki cards. I was going through small group stuff, so I was reviewing that stuff, making little notes that I need to make, and maybe even doing some questions or some kind of review for the following day's topic, whatever. I would use the 2 hour of lecture time as semi study time. Because I was kind of paying attention, I would listen in when there was something that I was like, okay, I do need to pay attention. I would sit there and just listen. And then maybe I'd discuss it with my fellow classmates that were next to me. That's basically it. That's what I would do. I would multitask during lecture. Then when it came to actual review, which is really the time that you need to be completely focused, because that's where all the hard, heavy lifting is happening, I would isolate myself from all my friends, and I would delete all my social media. I would block it. I wouldn't access it. And I would just study hard, 3 to 4 hours, however long it took me. And I would just go, okay? It was sometimes very challenging because the material can get really hard. Really easy to just say, screw it, and then just go mess around because things are getting too hard. I realized that I had to push through those periods of wanting to give up and just keep going, okay? Now, during that period of studying, I wasn't killing myself the entire 4 hours, right? In that time, I would, text a friend saying, hey, you wanna meet up for lunch? Or I would meet up with some buddies to go do a workout, or I'd do some ultimate frisbee. So I was getting my social interaction during that period. And then in the evening, I'd meet up with another friend and we would power through questions just to make sure that we knew how the material would be presented in a question form, okay? All the material that you're learning, It's really important to know what you can be tested on. And I would repeat this Monday through Friday, okay? And I was usually done with all my studying by about, let's say, 7 o'clock every single night. Sometimes maybe a little later, but around that time. Friday evening was a little different. Friday, because everybody was going out, I would usually cut the studying probably around like 5:36, right when the sun would set in Grenada. So I would cut it around there, and then I'd go out and meet my friends at Container Park. We'd get some drinks, we'd get some food, we'd just hang out. It was actually a really nice way to end the week. Then on Saturday, I would usually do either a beach day, a snorkel day, scuba diving, some boat trip, hiking. I always had some kind of plan for the weekend. Meet at someone's house who'd like have like a party or something like that. So that was something I always looked forward to on Saturdays. So that was my motivation for crushing it on the middle of the week. Okay, that's what I thought, and I do believe it's a choice. If you really want that nice weekend to go and like scuba dive or like have just like carefree day where you don't have to worry about studying, then you have to put in that effort in the middle of the week. Obviously, some weeks were a little harder than others, and I would have work that I had to do on Saturdays, but it was minimal, like maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, like max, but usually not. Sunday was a little different. Sunday was my review day where I had to kind of just skim through the lecture slides for that whole week, just light skim, just go through everything if I can. That would take a few hours, right? That's like 3 or 4 hours, but it was really easy. I was just reading these things quickly just to get a picture of what I was going to face for that week, not trying to study it. It's really the review where you're really consolidating this information. I was just trying to get an idea of what I'm going to face. And, on Sunday I would wake up late. I'd make breakfast. I might meet up my friends for a workout on campus. It was always a really light day. Sometimes I would go for a hike. Sometimes go to the beach on Sunday too. So I really made sure that I had a lot of fun. But again, middle of the week, I am not going out to the beach. I'm taking things very seriously, okay? Very seriously. I think the biggest thing for most students is they don't know how to limit distractions. They don't know how to identify that they're being distracted. Sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's social media. I don't know. Sometimes it's just a bunch of other things. For me, I always found that the more boring and isolated the environment was, the better for me. It's not fun. It's not fun. And actually, I think that's the benefit of a boring environment. The only interesting thing you have is studying, okay? That, in a nutshell, is what I did in the first 2 years. I could say that in clinicals, it's basically the same thing. You're trying to get your work done in the hospital, getting your questions done when you have downtime, doing Anki, doing UWorld, getting as much work as I can so that when I get home, I really don't have that much to do. Obviously, in clinicals, it does get a little bit more challenging. You do have these weekend NBMEs where you have to take mock exams. And, that did happen. Like I would make Sunday that day and I would have to spend that 3 to 4 hours of doing a mock exam on an NBME. But even in clinicals, I did the exact same thing. I worked hard in the middle of the week, and then Friday evening, I would meet up with the friends from the hospital. We'd go out, we'd get some drinks, we'd have some food. Saturday, we'd all go rock climbing or like do something as a group, go to the city. We basically did the same thing as we did on the island. And then Sunday would be like, instead of review material, I didn't do a lot of review. It was just doing mock exams or some kind of UWorld for a few hours, not a crazy amount, okay? So that's basically how you can create more time. It's making medical school like a job, treat it like a job, be focused when you have to study, and you can really enjoy yourself. Guys, I wish you the best of luck in this journey.